Hello and Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the fourth episode of SPIE's Voices of Vicissitude. I am your host Manzar Abbas, a fourth year medical student at Aahan University and Director General of SPIE MED-Tech, where medicine meets technology. MED-Tech is SPIE's new wing and aims to help medical students to explore the world of technology and build their expertise in the required skill sets for their specialties. To achieve this, we have recently organized a series of workshops on teaching our software and now bringing you today's episode. Today, we will be joined by Dr. Henrique Alvarenga, a renowned psychiatrist and statistician from Brazil. Dr. Henrique is currently professor of psychiatry at the Federal University of São del Rei since 2017, as well as the professor of psychiatry and statistics at the UNICTAN since 2015. Furthermore, he is an author, having written some books in the field of statistics. Today, we'll be discussing a variety of topics such as Dr. Henrique's journey through statistics and psychiatry and the scope of statistics globally. We also will discuss his work within the field of statistics both as a professor and as an author. So without further ado, thank you Dr. Henrique for joining us today.
Hi, Manzar. Thank you for this opportunity. It's very nice to talk to you, young students of medicine. And it's really very, very good to talk to you. I would like to share with you some aspects of the journey that I have in my life in medicine. Look, when I was a kid, I was born in São João del Rei in 1972. And when I was a kid, I really liked statistics, math, and science, physics. I was really a kid to do something in exact science. Medicine was not in my mind. I never thought of becoming a doctor when I was a kid. I was certainly that I will be an engineer or a space traveler, an astronaut, not a doctor. When I was 15 years old, I got my first computer, and I, with some friends, trying to learn how to code. But in a small city, it was very difficult to get books and somebody to teach you this kind of new stuff, this computers and coding. And we tried something. Well, some year later, it was natural for me. I entered University of Electrical Engineering. That was everything in a usual path. I was a kid that loved science, physics, math, coding, computers, and choosing electrical engineering was a natural choice for me. The other possible choice was computation, and computing science. Well, in the first years of engineering, I got some books about artificial intelligence, but the field was emerging, and the books were really very superficial. It didn't seem to be nothing intelligent at that time. The idea of artificial intelligence was a great idea, but the reality at that time was nothing intelligent. So it didn't appear to me at that time, and I was a bit sad about that because, wow, it could be the great stuff of our lives. And I was reading the books. Wow, this is not what I thought it would be. So thinking about what to do now, I reached a very important decision in my life. As artificial intelligence was not so intelligent at that time, I chose to study natural intelligence, real human intelligence, and I took a very important decision in my life. I left electric engineering against the opinion of all my friends, all my engineering friends. We all love engineering, but I left engineering and entered medicine. It was a very huge decision with a very big impact in my life. I changed to medicine not really to become a doctor. Everybody goes to medicine, oh, I want to help people, I want to be a doctor. I went into medicine just because I was curious about the mind. I had no intent to become a doctor. Well, but as the time goes by, along the medicine, everybody loves medicine, so it happened to me. And as time was passing, I was liking medicine and eventually became a doctor. I chose psychiatry. It was a natural choice for me. I was trying to understand the mind, and for some years, I was a psychiatrist, just like every other psychiatry, a doctor. And the old goals in my life were left behind for a long time. But around 2015, I was not satisfied with my knowledge as a science and as a researcher in science. I understand that I need to study statistics, and I went to study statistics by myself, using Coursera and other sites and internet. And something very good happened. A medical school opened in my city, and I was invited to be a teacher there. And I was given a tremendous freedom. Choose what you want to teach, Henrique. Wow, thank you. I want to teach statistics. But the reason was I need to learn statistics. As the saying goes, if you want to learn, teach. Teaching is the best way to learn. So that was the reason I became a professor of statistics, not because I know too much, but because I need to know more. And eventually I found R. And all my old hobbies of coding just came back to me, and wow, let's start coding again in medicine. I didn't thought it was possible to merge these two things. So studying statistics, giving me this path to learn R and to start coding again. And this became a very nice hobby for me nowadays. And new possibilities emerge because of this. Studying statistics and studying R give me the possibility to start some research, and eventually I get my master's degree using R. It was a very nice opportunity to use the tools that I was studying to develop my master's degree. And my teacher at my master's degree didn't know R, and we learned together. He was very impressed with what we can do with R. And I eventually started to try something. Let's try to use R to teach statistics, because I have a thought that we don't need to burden students with calculus, with some very difficult calculus. We must learn the idea. And for me, it is much more important to do the math. Computers can do the math for us. So I thought maybe this is the reason most students of medicine don't like statistics. They find the math much hard. They didn't like math just from the beginning of this medical school. For many students, this is the reason they choose medicine. No, I choose medicine because I don't like math. So when they reach medical school and they learn that they need to study statistics, this is very stressful for many students. And I thought, oh, but we don't need to do the math. We just need to understand the math. And R could be a tool for this. So this was my master's degree. Could we do something better to teach statistics using R? This is the article you read, and that's because you asked me the reason I'm here. I think that was because of that article. That was the product of my master's degree. So nowadays, artificial intelligence has reached a very different point from where it begins in my childhood. Artificial intelligence today, in medicine, is becoming each day more and more important. And understanding what it is, understanding maybe just a little about coding, I think it's a very important tool for every medical student. Not just R, the language R, maybe just the first step. It's a very easy language to learn. There are more difficult languages. And I would say to you that my next goal is to learn Python. These two languages are very, very important today. But that's the story I would like to share with you, Manzar, for this podcast. I'm here as a psychiatrist, as a doctor, for reasons very different from the most of doctors. I went into medicine just to study the mind because I was not satisfied with artificial intelligence in my time as a boy. Now I'm very, very, let me choose the word, empolgado, em português nós dizemos. Let me say which the word in English. I want very much to study artificial intelligence again. The problem is I don't have much time in my life now. I'm a father of two kids, 5 and 8 years old. I'm married. I work in 2 universities in São João do Rei. I have a private clinic. So I don't have much time to study as you have now. So please study hard. Now you have time to do it. Later will be more difficult.
So I totally agree with you, and I'm excited to tell you that my journey towards R and statistics is kind of similar that as you have, because honestly, I didn't join medicine because of medicine. I joined it because of surgery. I'm a surgery enthusiast, and later when I joined medicine through to take part in surgeries, because of COVID pandemic, we were sent back home because there was no education going on that days. So then I started R. Like I was very passionate about coding and stuff, just like you were passionate about coding. I started my coding back in 2019. It was pretty early. So after that, I started Python and HTML, and I built my portfolio and stuff. And when you were saying your story, I was remembering all my times when I was doing all these things.
Yes, I need to study Python. It's my next goal.
So my next goal is to learn deep learning now.
Sorry, learn what?
Deep learning, computer vision. So as you said, the teaching is the best way to learning. That also I adopted, and I taught few of my students about R and HTML while I was learning this. So I have few mentees as well who are learning along with me. And the project I was sharing with you on R, that is part of the same thing. And now we are teaching many more students, and at the same time, I am learning more of R and analysis. So I totally agree with your point that if you want to learn something, you should teach it.
That's it. Well, the problem is, I think medical students should learn from their teachers that coding is important, that this kind of knowledge about artificial intelligence, about statistics, they must learn that this is important. So if teachers don't see it as an important, they won't tell it, this to the students, and students will not learn. Uh, I think young teachers, young students like you can make a really great difference for the new students entering medicine. They might see your journey, they might see your ideas, and some of them, not all of them, some of them will think, wow, that's interesting. I'm going to study that. I know not every medical student will be interested in coding and computers, that's okay. But in the future, I think it will be very common to use these tools, just like it's common for a doctor to use a stethoscope to hear the heart sounds. We cannot just avoid this, oh, it's too difficult. I don't want to study it. If you do that, I think in the future, you will have much, much more difficult. So learn it now when you are a student. I see some things happening, and people who don't follow through the developments in science later have much greater difficulty. Some old doctors that don't know how to use computers, they struggle to understand how to use these tools today in some hospitals, when the hospital changed the infrastructure. And we are not using paper anymore. We're going to use computers. So an old doctor may struggle. Oh, I never learned how to use a computer. So don't let the step be too great. Learn as the way, learn as things are being created. So that's the best advice I can give you. So for young students, don't let everything develop too much and later on, let me see now. Start trying to understand from now. For example, when I start coding, there was no Windows. There was no Windows to click and no mouse, and you have to type. So it is usual for me to type and to code. But for students that were presented to a computer after the age of Windows and mouse and clicks, they find more difficult when they have to code. Wow, what it is. Now I have to code, I have to type. They find it strange because they get the technology in at advanced point, and they did not go through all the developments along the time.
So I want to ask, did your first computer was command line computer?
I think it was a TK-85 or 81. And the second one was an MSX. Do you know these old computers, MSX?
Sir, I think I have seen their recordings on YouTube that they only used command line. Just you are saying there was no cursor, there was no windows, and you just have to type your stuff.
That's it.
That is very interesting. That is just like Linux.
At that time,
Yes,
Manzar, I think you might never have seen it. But first, there was no screen. You have just the keyboard, and you have to plug it in your TV just to see what you're doing. And one more thing, there was no floppy disks. Do you know floppy disks?
Yes, sir, I do.
It was magnetic cassettes. Do you?
Yes.
You plug into
yes, I have seen those.
And you press play, and you have to wait for the cassettes, magnetic cassettes to play all along the time to read the files. It was very difficult.
So I have not seen those in my last 15 years. Those are very old technologies. It's still very interesting.
What else, Manzar?
Sir, you have already talked about a lot of stuff. So, sir, could you please elaborate more on your statistics journey? Like, when you started your statistics for the first time in your master's, so you must have faced some challenges, like shifting from psychiatry to statistics. How was that? What are your opinions on it?
Well, the thing is, as a psychiatrist here in my town, I missed some things that I liked as a kid. I like math. I like calculus. I really love engineering. I didn't left engineering because it was hard or because I didn't like it. So somehow I was always trying to find a way back to engineering. Before entering, before being a teacher at a medical school, I was always trying to do something related to engineering just for fun. So there was a time I was going every weekend to the capital of my state here, Minas Gerais. The city is Belo Horizonte. I needed to go there every weekend with my wife, at that time, my girlfriend, today my wife. She was studying to be a lawyer. And she had a class every Saturday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. We went to Belo Horizonte, the capital. She went to her class, and I went to a library. What to do in a library all Saturday? Well, I got books of calculus and solved all the exercises of the book. I have until today a notebook with every equations of the book of calculus, calculus 1 and 2 solved just for fun. So I was always trying to find a way back. So statistics was something I started studying just to fill this void. No, I need to fill this void. This something that I liked so much, and I was left behind me many years ago, and that was the reason I asked to teach statistics. It was the closest thing that I could teach, close to the exact science. In fact, I didn't like statistics when I was in engineering. I prefer much more calculus. Maybe my teacher of calculus were great teachers, but I love calculus. And I didn't like statistics. That's the reason I started studying statistics in just some years before entering to be a teacher. I feel that I needed to learn a little more of this. And that's a story I want to tell you about statistics. I don't know if you know this story, but it's very interesting. How statistics entered into medicine, not into my life, but into medicine. Just a
That
second.
will be amazing story.
Just a second, please.
Yes, sir.
Around the beginnings of the 20th century, there was not statistics as we see it today. A guy named Ronald Fisher started working in an institute in England to make research in agricultural research, to define which substance is better for these plants to evolve, and they have to make research. Which is better? This is better, that is better. And this guy, Ronald Fisher, a statistician, reached a conclusion. Every data you have here means nothing. You have no method. You are collecting data for 300 years and it's all trash. We need a method to do this. And around 1935, he published the book, The Design of Experiments. Have you heard about this book, Manzar?
No, sir. But I'm assuming that the test we do, the exact Fisher test, is that after the same person?
Yes, that's the same person, Ronald Fisher.
Oh,
The p-value from Ronald Fisher, that's him.
yes, sir.
So
That is interesting.
in 1935, he published a book, The Design of Experiments. It is possible for me to share my screen with you, Manzar?
Yes, yes, sir.
So this is the book, The Design of Experiments. This book influenced all fields in the 20th century science. Before Fisher, scientists invented the experiments, each in their own way, without any method, any adequate mathematical foundation. So statistics, the modern statistics started around this time in agricultural science, but not in medicine. How does statistics entered into medicine? It was the work of Bradford Hill. This guy started to publishing a series of papers in Lancet, the medical journal Lancet, encouraging doctors to learn the methods created by Fisher. So he was saying, hey, doctors, we need to know this stuff. This guy has done something tremendous important. And in medicine, we are doing this every time. Which medicine is best for this situation? This works and this didn't work. So we need a method, we need statistics to do this. So the point is, it's very recently. It was 1937. It was not many years ago. Medicine has 5,000 years of history, or maybe more, but we have just a small fraction of this time that we have tools to develop to our research. So research in medicine really started after statistics entered into medicine. And the first RTC, the first randomized controlled trial in medicine, it was in 1948. So that was the first time we have done research using statistic methods developed by Fisher. And there was an interesting slide here, the evolution of medical research, what happened after 1940. The number of published papers just rose tremendously. And that's the idea that I would like to share with you. Statistics entered into medicine very few years ago and changed medicine dramatically. Now,
This is very interesting.
Another movement, artificial intelligence, that's the foundation of artificial intelligence is statistics. And artificial intelligence is entering into medicine. That's the second great movement that is happening. So when statistics entered into medicine, it will change the way we make research. That's the second movement now. Artificial intelligence is entering into medicine. And I think it's really will make everything we do different. But the idea is medicine is very young in the aspects of science. It's not real to say, oh, we have 5,000 years of evolution in medicine. Maybe it's more real to say we have 100 years in evolution in medicine, because everything before, we don't know. And there is another story I would like to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
Something that happened around 1920, 1930, just before Ronald Fisher published that book. Doctors, very important doctors in the United States, at Johns Hopkins Hospital, one of the most important hospitals in the world, doctors at that hospital, mainly, I think, Osler, that was then the guy there, they reached a conclusion. Nothing that we have in medicine to treat patients works. Nothing. Almost nothing works. We know how to diagnose. We know how to give names to disease. We know what happens when somebody gets that or that disease. We know the evolution, but nothing that we do helps anyway. So they propose something very radical. Let's not treat patients anymore, because nothing works. That was the situation in medicine around 50s, 1950s, 100 years ago. What happened afterwards was statistics. Research started in a very different way. So that's the importance of statistics in medicine. What would be of medicine today if we didn't have statistics, if we didn't have methods for research? So thank you, Ronald Fisher, for what you have done.
This is an amazing job, and both of these are really good stories. Before we move on, I would just like to disclose something that even I don't like statistics as I like R. This was the R basically which led me towards teaching statistics. So we share these as well. We share this.
I really find statistics much more difficult than calculus. That was something that when I was a kid, I struggled with, because calculus is certainty. You know, this is that. Statistics is probability. I thought, oh my God, I like things certain. Why is this just probabilities? But that's the way the world works. No? Even quantum mechanics is based on statistics. No? So
yes, sir.
There is no how to run away from statistics. We need to learn it. Even a bit, we need to learn it.
So I am from a medicine biological background. I did my A levels in biology. So I will learn calculus and you will learn Python, and then we'll share our stories later on. Is it okay, sir? Because I haven't learned calculus till the date, and it is in my to-do list. I have to learn it because in deep learning there is a lot of use of calculus because you have to make equations and then train your model to detect images and to detect people's faces. So it is in my list that I have to learn calculus.
Oh, it's easier than
Yes.
statistics.
Sure, sir. Acha, sir, you mentioned that you learned your statistics from Coursera. Even I learned my R and statistics from Coursera. So, could you please reveal what university were from you learning your statistics?
Sorry, Manzar, I didn't understand your question. I learned the I made some very nice courses in statistics at Coursera. That's it.
You made some statistics courses on Coursera, or did you learn your statistics from Coursera?
Sorry, could you repeat, please?
Sir, you mentioned something about Coursera, the platform. So, could you please elaborate more on that? What did you learn from there, and are there any courses available that you have made on Coursera?
I found some statistics courses in
Okay.
Coursera and also some other sites. One is closed now. It was from Stanford. Stanford, they call it Stanford Lagunita, but it's closed now. I think it's was merged with the other. Um, I forgot the name.
Udemy, there is one Udemy, Udemy.
I think that's the one.
Yes. So I learned my statistics from Coursera and Udemy, and one of the Coursera courses was from Johns Hopkins University that you just mentioned.
Yes, that John
Yes,
Hopkins. I
you
made
did.
some R courses in John Hopkins too.
I have received that course, and there is a whole specialization of 10 courses. I completed 5 of them.
Manzar, I have something in my mind here. It is even possible that we were colleagues in some of these courses without knowing each other.
Maybe, sir.
Maybe.
That is quite a possibility. But I was a student back in like just last year. I learned from Coursera, but you said you learned it back in 2015.
Oh, yes, some year later.
You must be one of the mentors in the discussion portion, maybe the discussion portal that Coursera has.
I really love Coursera. It's an amazing platform for learning.
Yes,
And
sir.
we can do a lot of things for free if you don't want the paper.
Certificate.
Yes, the certificate.
Yes, sir. Even I have done a lot of time that I just there's a button audit this course and I just click on that and enjoy the whole course. So that is an amazing thing to know.
Yes, I
So
didn't have Coursera when I was a kid trying to code in my 15 years old. Today it's much
uh,
easier.
yes, kids of this age have
The
yes,
question is today, if you want to learn, you have tools to learn. It's much easier. Don't matter
yes,
if you are
definitely.
in Brazil or Afghanistan, Russia, anywhere. So people just need to want. It's there for
So
them
I
to.
was yes, sir. I was studying the journey of Bill Gates when he was a student and he was coding and learning computer. It was very famous that he used to go. There was only one computer in the town, and that was stored in the university. I don't remember the name of the university. So he used to get there at 3 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. and used to get off at 8 a.m. in the morning because that slot was only available when no one was using that computer. So he used to work daily, and he learned all this coding from there. So there are people who are like passionate at this level and they do stuff.
Yes,
And
that's it.
these make stories, definitely. Okay, let's ask some fun questions. Is this okay?
Mhm.
So, sir, what do you do in your free time? I know you are very busy and you have very few hours in a day which is free. So, what do you do in that free period of time? What are your hobbies basically?
Aside trying to learn how to code, it's a hobby too. I like to run, reading, and playing with my kids. Yeah? And that's all. The time is over. That's
That's
no
very
time for
interesting.
anything else.
So I think let's conclude the session here. And you have already given us some tips for the aspiring statisticians that we have to be vigilant and we have to do stuff right away because we do not want to learn something at the end of the thing. Is that right?
Yes.
Anything else do you want to say to the students who are listening to this podcast?
Well, sometimes the students say, "Oh, it's too difficult. It's too difficult," and I always say to them, there was a time that tie your laces of your shoes was difficult too. It is difficult because you don't know. You just have to learn. After you learn, it's not difficult anymore. Everything is difficult before you learn. So it's not that statistics is difficult or coding is difficult. It's difficult because you're new. You're new to this. You don't know yet. So go through this first difficulties, and it will become easier sooner. That's it.
Totally agree with this. This is so thoughtful. So, sir, let's conclude the session here. Can you please tell me about your experience? What has been here today?
My experience in what?
Yes, experience for the podcast. I think this. You said this is something new for you. So, did you enjoy this podcast? How was your experience?
Yes, I enjoyed it a lot. It was very nice to find a young student that have some ideas very similar to mine, and it seems that I'm seeing myself in the past, a young me in another country, facing the same difficult, the same dilemmas of life. It was very nice. Thank you for this opportunity, Manzar. It was a great opportunity for me to reconsider my life and to reflect upon my own history. Sometimes we don't even have time to do it. It was a very good opportunity for me, not just to share this story with you, but I think that I'm sharing this story with myself too. I was reflecting about all these ways my life, how I get here. So it was a very, very nice moment for me. So thank you.
It was also my first podcast, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. And it was a great time. And I found someone which has similar strategy like me. Like you are a coding enthusiast, I am a coding enthusiast. We both didn't get into medicine for the same reason. And yes, we are both are lovers, but not the statistics part. So that was a lovely conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Henrique, for your time. And we hope to see you again in the future. Thank you so much.